Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Broken Brian. And it looks like we are getting a Resident Evil reboot. We've seen articles and rumors about it for a while now, but Cregger, hope I'm saying that correctly, is writing and directing the new reboot of the franchise. Is going to primarily focus solely on the video game as its source. Now, that's all we know. There's a bidding war over studios of who gets it, and Zach Cregger, started out as a comedy actor, reinvented himself. Now he's kind of a horror writer and things. And like his big movie from a couple years ago, Barbarian, was a some say hit, some say not. I never saw it. My friend, who's absolutely just a huge horror fan, I talked to him about it, and he's like, "No." He goes, "It was kind of like late." He's like, "Yeah, it was gory, but it was kind of lazy writing," and he's like, "It was okay." He's like, "If you happen to stumble upon it, you might watch it," but he's like, "I wouldn't go out of your way to watch it." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, I do like some horror. I like sci-fi horror stuff like Event Horizon, or something that has like a good thrill to it, like the Saw series, well, most of the Saw series, or something that's hilarious like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is hilarious. And I love introducing people to that movie because they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "I know, right? It's great." But just like pure unadulterated horror, it's not really my cup of tea. I'm Because most of the time when it's pure horror, it's also heavy gore, and I'm not a big fan of gore. And yes, I know I mentioned the Saw series. It's a weird exception to the rule because it's very cerebral, and I find it interesting. I don't watch it often, but I do like the story behind it. So I don't know where they're going to start. Hopefully, they start with one. I played one, and I barely remember it a long time ago. Uh, I never played any of the others, with the exception I got like a free copy of Resident Evil Zero on my GameCube, and uh, really wasn't a fan. Like it was, I ran into a lot of weird things. It just seemed like I couldn't progress past certain points, and eventually it would after redoing, you know, just starting over and going to, and eventually I did the same thing 100 times and finally got through. It was some weird things. I think that may have been the game itself and not the actual gameplay. Just glitches in the code, but it just didn't. Zero was not great, although some people just absolutely love the game, and that's a prequel to the original series of games. And I'm like, hopefully they start with the first one. But don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the original Resident Evil movies. Well, the first few. I mean, after, I didn't really care that they were. Since I didn't play the video games, I wasn't really focused on how much of the lore it talked to. But it was like the first two or three were really good, and then after that, it just felt like they were just trying to drag every last drop of it. Kind of like with Underworld. It was around the same time. It just kind of like they kept trying to squeeze every like. You should have just ended the story and stopped, but they didn't. That's what I felt like with the Resident Evil movies, and then the series on Netflix. That just ticked everybody off that liked the games and liked the movies. It was a colossal failure. I mean, seriously, like I watched it and I was like, I cannot believe I'm watching this. This is just, it was bad. Like if you like the games, it's bad. If you like the movies with Mila Jovovich, it's bad. If you've never seen anything Resident Evil, it was bad. It was just, no, it should never have been made. It was terrible. That one was just like, oh, cool. I was like, cool, a new Resident. I was like, man, the Resident Evil animated movies were better than that, and some of those are questionable. There's like 4 or 5, I think, of the animated ones out there. If you haven't seen them, they're not huge successes, and they're not just great. They're interesting. If you just want to consume everything Resident Evil, they're interesting and they're fun. Some of them are fun. Some of them are just boring. But you know, I like a. I kind of feel like we've hit this point where I don't want to say it, but like in the 90s, we hit the vampire fatigue. I think now we're finally hitting the zombie fatigue. Like, if we have to sit through another zombie movie, I mean, we've had Army of the Dead and that spin-off that before. I don't remember what it was called. That was with the German locksmith. It was actually really funny. He was my favorite character in Army of the Dead. And, I mean, just, we're to that point where we're just kind of like, zombies. We've had Walking Dead for years, and it's just kind of like, yeah, are we done with the zombies now? Can we go on to something different? I think werewolves are trying to make a comeback. We've had the Wolfman movie come out this year, I think. Was it yeah, it was the past month or so. Maybe this year, maybe in the last year. But, maybe werewolves are the new thing. Really, I think we need some cryptozoology stuff, like more swamp things and things like that. Some, more kaiju like Godzilla and King Kong, stuff like that. Let's get some more of that, I'm getting that zombie burnout, maybe. It's kind of like, yeah, we're just kind of... And I hope it's done well. I hope it's done well and it revitalizes more people to go back, find copies and replay versions of the game. I've got them all on my Steam wish list to kind of, and just I keep my eye out open for the secondhand shops if they pop up on anything on a console I have. I'm gonna try to pick them up because it's been years since I've played Resident Evil. Like, literally, the last one was on my GameCube, and that was late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it's been a couple decades since I even touched a Resident Evil game. But, I mean, maybe this will revitalize some people to get back into the game, revitalize the franchise. Maybe we get a new Resident Evil game. And maybe there's one in production. We don't know. Maybe this is just going to stick with a media franchise, just like movies and shows. I don't know. But hopefully we get some more Resident Evil stuff, just because the games were good. And the progression of the story was good. I mean, somewhere I've got a couple of Umbrella Corps hats, I'm a big fan of the series and just in general. But, it's kind of like, yeah, I do think we're kind of hitting that zombie-like burnout. I don't know. The zombie movies just aren't doing that great. I just don't feel the appeal. I mean, I thought more people would be excited about the announcement of the 28 years later, and that just seems to be, ooh, they're going to make a new movie, and just the excitement died within like a day. Like, after like it was announced, I like heard nothing else about it. Like, no one was talking about it. So I'm kind of thinking we're hitting that zombie fatigue. Maybe not. If it looks good, I'm all for it. If it sticks to the video games, that's great, because then you're going to bring back the movie fans. You're going to bring back the video game fans. Can Zach do it? I don't know. A lot of people loved Barbarian. A lot of people did. And that's great. Maybe his new style of what he's doing, maybe that's what this franchise needs, and great. Will it be the most groundbreaking thing? No, but I mean, you got to stay optimistic. I definitely do. If I don't stay optimistic, I get too much in my head about things in the world, and I get completely depressed. And nothing like having taken literally every antidepressant on the face of the planet to realize that, yeah, this world needs some hope and optimism to make it through the day. So I gotta be hopeful. I gotta be optimistic to literally just hope that people make things good and realize that, yes, these companies have vision. This directors and writers have visions of a story they want to tell. But if it's a story that no one else wants to hear but them, don't make it. Write a book. It's a good book. I'll buy it too. I mean, seriously, tons of books. I got more books and video games in this house, so don't worry. I'll buy your book and read it. But yeah, we got a new series of movies coming out, and Zach Cregger. I keep wanting to say Cregger. Matt Cregger or Krieger. It's got to be Cregger, right? Is going to be doing it, and let's go for it. Why not? Will it be great? I'm hoping with every ounce of my being that it's wonderful. I really do. Because I want some good movies. And I want a good zombie movie. I want something that, something good and something that brings me back to liking zombie movies again. And brings me back to really wanting to play Resident Evil games. That's going to be the measure of success. If it brings the crowds to the theater and it revitalizes the game franchise, then it'll be a success. That's how it's going to be a success in my book. But that's just my thoughts and my little ramblings, and I hope this is slightly informative, and please like and subscribe. I'm just having fun out here making these videos, getting out of my comfort zone and doing it. So I appreciate your support, whether you watch it, whether you don't, whether you like it, whether you subscribe, doesn't matter, but I would appreciate it. But until next time, my friends, as always, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it.